Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumbert from MSDynamicsWorld.com, and I'm pleased to be hosting this session all about shipping management in Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. Our presenters today are Mehmet Pamuk and Steve Williamson. It's great to have them both with us. And as we begin, just a couple notes. We do welcome your questions today. Please look for the Q&A block to the right of the main presentation area. Feel free to type your questions into that section at any point. Our other panelists today, Jason Chung will be watching for that, and I know our presenters will all be leaving time at the end to take your questions. We're also recording today. So without any further delay, I think we're ready to begin. I'm going to hand things off to Steve Williamson to take it from here.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason. So as Jason just articulated, we're going to take you through really the embedded workflows that we have within D365, and hopefully by the end of this you'll get a nice little idea of how those work, some options around what they can do for you, and also the companies behind that. Before we jump into the solution, I just wanted to take a second and talk a little bit more about the companies behind the solution that we're going to be showing today, and talk to you a little bit about BlueJay and a little bit about NMB. So from a BlueJay perspective, we are a global supply chain company. And you can kind of get an idea from the picture here of the offices that we operate in and the countries that we are supporting. We are headquartered out of the UK and do have various data centers throughout the globe in regards to being able to host solutions for customers. When we're going to break down these next few slides, this is, again, giving you some idea of the services group. We have around 1,100 total people within the BlueJay solution, managing, you can see here, roughly about $2 billion in transportation. So very versed in all modes of transportation. But more specifically, what we're going to be talking to you about today are really some parcel and LTL. We do manage a lot of boxes, so to speak. So when you think about 4.5 billion boxes being shipped, it kind of gives you some idea that we're going to be supporting customers that have very, I'll call them robust needs when it comes to executing shipments, and then we'll have some more simple in regards to onesie, twosies that they're shipping in the solution. When we think about the BlueJay solution, we do support around 7,500 customers that are using what we refer to as our total global trade network. So those range for brokers to freight forwarders to parcel shippers. But this gives you a small idea of the regions that we do cover across the globe. I had just mentioned the global trade network just a second ago, but let me just kind of talk to you a little bit about this. So this is really encompassing our total supply chain of our solutions. We're going to go into other solutions here in a little bit, which focus in on some of these areas, but this can give you some ideas that we provide full-blown transportation management solutions all the way to control towers. We help out with brokers, as I mentioned earlier, with customs clearances, and even can help with drop ship solution providers. The focus today, though, is really around these two areas, and most of the time we're going to spend in the transportation area. And what you're going to find, it's really all about an embedded D365 workflow. It's about making sure that the user stays in D365, can manage their day-to-day operations. So creating things like labels and bills of lading, you'll see that within the demonstration, the presentation, I should say, today. And it gives you an idea that really it's all about making sure that you stay, as I just described, in that environment. So it's embedded within there, but the strength of the engine is really what we can provide behind the scenes and what it can do for you in regards to the overall solution. We will talk a little bit about, we're excited to kind of give you a little a preview today from just more, again, a description and a presentation. But we are thinking and doing things around denied party screening. So giving customers the options to embed these within the workflows of D365 to support the requirements around, is it an embargoed country? Is it a party that's on a particular list? And we've got what we feel is going to be a real nice embedded solution eventually for D365 users to be able to support what's referred to and commonly in the market as denied party screening. So before we kind of jump into and we kind of push it over to Mehmet and have him kind of talk a little bit more about the solutions that I've kind of introduced, let me give you a little introduction into NMB. NMB is really our sole, as it describes, our sole distributor and our partner when it comes to building solutions within D365, and is our arm for this solution that you're going to see today. But bear in mind, they have been around for a long time. So they are very much a Microsoft-enabled platform in regards to supporting. You can see all the way back to Exapta, AX solutions, and now, of course, D365 solutions, where they have a nice ISV solution that you're going to see today. But it's not, so to speak, our first rodeo. In regards to supporting this, we do have, as you can see here, a lot of background around the Microsoft solution. So we're really excited to kind of leverage NMB and BlueJay as a total solution and be able to kind of do the presentation today and give you that insight into it. And then we'll follow up as we described throughout. At the end, we'll leave some time for questions around any of this, right? Around any of the solution, the company, or anything in between. So again, thank you guys very much. And Mehmet, I'll turn it over to you to kind of walk through the solution.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, so what we are going to do, we're just going to start with the agenda. So we are planning to have our solution introduction as a start, and then we're going to look into our pack and ship workflows and order entry rating. We'll focus on some of the shipment consolidation process that we have built, and we have freight charge management, parcel invoice reconciliation, and as Steve mentioned at the end, we are going to talk about compliance and denied party screening process. Okay, so in terms of the solution overview, our solution is a D365 FO certified solution that's available on Microsoft App Stores, and the BlueJay global supply chain engine in the background, which is a true global shipping and rating engine, which is powering everything. So let's go and look into the pack and ship workflows. So in this example, what we are going to do is show you the packing and shipping, a very basic pack haul process as a starting. It will be a domestic or international parcel shipping. So let's go and look into one of the screens. Before going into details, I would like to take the time to explain a little bit about our packing workbench, what all those boxes mean in the screen. So first of all, in the packing workbench, we have like 4 different quadrants. The first top one will talk about our shipment header details. The bottom left will be the items that needs to be packed into boxes. The top right are the boxes, box information with their dimensions, how many boxes we have, and the bottom right is which items are packaged into which boxes. And we also have additional buttons, but we'll just talk about that a little bit later. So let's look into our first example. So in this presentation, I'm not going to do a live demo. I will just talk through the process in our screens and give you an idea how our process works. So first of all, what we do in our packing workbench, we scan in the document ID. It can be load, order, any picking route information into the system, into our packing workbench. This will allow to load all the detailed information about the order, and it will show you shipping lane, items, and as soon as we pack, with the click of a button pack haul, it will create the boxes for you, the items will be placed, and we have send shipment process. So this is the process which is taking place on the packing workstations, and what happens as a result, it will either, depending on the type of process we choose, it can print a pro forma packing slip, or it can actually post-packing slip, and it will generate the carrier compliant labels. It can be, depending on the shipping location, it can be local USPS, UPS, FedEx, or if it's a European or any Asian location, it can be in like a DHL, or any other label will be printed automatically at the end of this process. And Printing those labels will also bring in all the charges and tracking number information. All the information will be kept in D365 FO for future reference as well. So for additional workflow, we'll talk about the pack all, quick pack, also line item packing process. If the item is a serial or batch item, we'll talk about the registration process. If the user would like to do this in advance, or they want to do it during the packing workbench process. And we'll mention case packing, pallet packing, and or quick pallet options. So for the key areas of our functionality, within our workflows, we support domestic, international LTL shipments, the race shopping, or any dangerous goods shipments. For international shipments, we have AES filing, and for also validation process for address validation as well. So let's look at our first use case in this workflow. We are going to do a quick pack functionality and pack all. Again, we'll talk about, we are focusing on the quick pack functionality for this workflow. And let's go into our example. As you see, this is our advanced warehouse enabled packing workbench. We are loading in this case, the load, which will bring all the shipment information, load information, and we're going to use the quick pack. Quick pack functionality is a pre-configuration. As soon as we do quick pack, it will bring up what's the default quantity and what's the default box per item, and it will display what's the total number of boxes will be created. The user can see this configuration in advance. They can overwrite if necessary, but if they don't need to change anything, they can just pack items. It will automatically create the boxes for them and then place all the items into those boxes based on predefined quantities. So in this case, we see we have the containerization process is already done, and the containers are created, and basically it will automatically generate all those containers, boxes for you, and assign those items into those boxes. Okay, so the next use case, we are going to look into how we do line item packing and talk about serialization batch and multi-quantity packing as well. So let's look at, in this example, as we have mentioned, we have like multiple quantities here. If there's any error during the packing process, the user has options to just add, remove boxes, or we also have like scale integration for box weight as well, using those additional boxes buttons. So let's focus on the serialization process. If the packer tries to pack this item, which is already a serialized or a batch item, the system will recognize this automatically and will allow you to either scan in or type in either the batch number or serial numbers from the system. And it will also allow you to just modify the quantity while you're just packing this information. So our next use case will be the pallet packing and the quick pallet functionality. So we talked about the creation of the boxes, containers. Now the next process is, if it is an LTL process, how are we going to assign those boxes into a pallets? So we have the functionality. So we are going to look into this shipping pallet option, and under the shipping pallet button, we have additional functionality, which is we can add to an existing pallet or create a new one. We can remove it, list it, or quick pallet. So those are the workflows that is around the LTL process, and we are just going to look into a couple of those. After the process, the palletization process is completed, you will be able to see this NMFC codes and LTL classes for those items are already assigned. And on the top box, you will be able to see the pallet information, their dimension, their weight, and at the bottom, you will see what's the content of those pallets, which boxes, what's their actual weights, their dimensions. Within those pallet information will be registered as well. We'll come back to the LTL process, but now we are going to look into the international process as well, especially around the documentation creation, because the process in terms of what we are offering is seamless to the user, whether it's a domestic or international. But if it is an international process, it will have additional documentation, such as like we have certificate of origin, commercial invoice, shipper letter of instructions, NAFTA or Canadian Customs invoice will be generated. We also store these documents within D365 FO as well, and all the automated commodity details will be passed to BlueJay for processing. So let's look into one of those shipments. So basically, as we have talked about this process, the process is the same whether it's domestic, LTL, or international, but we, under the print shipping documentation, we offer like additional documentation to print if it is required. And those documents that will be available when it's printed will be either in PDF format, or it will be automatically printed using document management within the system. It will be printed using the shipment details, the items, the commodity information, harmonized costs. All the details will be printed, passed to those documentation. And if the shipper is required to file AES filing, which is usually any shipment from US above 2,500 in value requires AES filing to Census Bureau, and this can be automatically integrated into our solution, and it will automatically identify this shipment for filing to Census Bureau, and it will return the ITN number within seconds, and that will be provided on those carrier shipping labels with the AES data. So let's go back to our LTL shipments. So we have talked about how do we palletize the shipment and how the MFC and LTL classes are automatically assigned. Now what we are going to do, we are going to just look into this process, how we process an LTL shipment. At the end of this process, bill of lading will be generated. Okay, so in our previous example, we created those containers, and by using the quick pallet function, as we have our quick box, it generates, it will define which boxes will be assigned to which kind of pallets, and what's the number of boxes per pallet is designed. So it will automatically create your assignments for the pallets, and it will be visible on the screen under the shipping pallet column. And as soon as the process is like send shipment button is pressed, it will generate our bill of lading. Again, we'll have the pro number both on bill of lading and also on a carrier label. This can be either done automatic pro number generation through the process, or it can be manually entered on our packing workbench. And we have our like number of packages. It can be summarized by NMFC and class codes on the bill of lading. So our next topic will be dangerous goods. Again, as we have mentioned, the process is seamless to the packer, whether it's a regular order or a hazmat item. The only detection will be if we have any item within this shipment is a hazmat or dangerous goods item. This shipment will be flagged as a hazmat enabled item. So before we go further, what I would like to tell you, we have a separate module as hazmat module where the users can define their own UN numbers, regulations, whether they are working with IATA regulation or 49 CFR or .IMO, they can define those regulations and they can create different attributes and also enter the detailed information about those UN numbers. And when we assign certain items as a dangerous goods item, all those attributes defined in the system will be carried into the item level. So during the shipment process in the packing workbench, as soon as we receive loading the shipment, this will bring in the correct regulation based on your transportation mode, and it will enable your hazmat shipment flags. And also we offer shipment level, package level, or more detail, or the hazmat item level details, where the packer can either view those detailed information as we see on the screen, or depending on the security, hazmat personnel also review or modify this before the shipment if it is required. But if all the data is already in the system, you don't need to do anything. They can just process this shipment. At the end of this shipment, what will happen? All those data will be submitted, and for processing, at the end, we'll receive all the documentation. This can be like shipper's declaration for dangerous goods. We have the hazmat labels. It can be OP 900 for FedEx or 49 CFR for UPS labels. It can be either cross-border declaration forms. And we also have on the shipment label, we'll also have dangerous goods data will be printed at the bottom. So we are moving into validation, and other option that we also provide through BlueJay is address validation. This can be done by selecting a parameter whether you would like to include validation process while you're doing the shipments. And those validation can be done based on city, state, zip, and country. And if there's no match, it will warn the user before the shipment whether the address is incorrect, and it will provide additional data to correct your addresses in the system. So what other options we have? So we also have automatic packing slip option. If the customer wants to have accrual watchers, they can create accrual watcher journals in the system. As soon as the process is complete, the packing slip is posted. All the costs associated with this freight will be accrued in your journals if it is required. We do pack material tracking. We have peripheral integration for scales and printers. We do address validation. Third party and collect shipments are part of our process, as well as the blind shipment process. Saturday pickup and delivery, insurance, or adult signature, any of those like additional options within the carrier are available to add to your shipment. If you would like to have carrier confirmation emails, that can be selected for the individual carriers. We have like future data shipping option. You can void, cancel your shipment, so it will not be manifested. APO, FPO type of shipment and manifesting can be also done within our process. So what is the value here? So for the pack and ship workflow, you can just pick and choose which workflow which will apply to your business. It will streamline your packing and shipping operations. Again, this is a built-in module in D365FO, so there's no additional screens to go into. And again, it's a true global rating and shipping engine at the end. Okay, so let's move into order entry rating option, which is our rate shopping process. So basically what we are going to show you what we have built. We have like order entry rating can be done either on the sales order or a sales quotation level, or if the user would like to have additional rating option, after all the packages are done, we also offer the similar rate shopping based on the actual boxes, weights on the packing workbench as well. So let's look into sales order screen. So this is a standard sales order that we have added in the rate shopping option here. And this is going to be accessed through the sell option and on the rate shopping. and it will open the rate shopping screen. This rate shopping screen can be customized, and you can do certain filters in the system. You can have different keys or rate keys. Basically, those rate keys can be defined and configured in the backend, where you can specify, for example, for domestic, if your company using only certain carriers or certain services, you can only define those services. So when you rate shop, it will only rate shop what you have configured in the system. So as I mentioned, those are your filters, and you can have like Saturday pickup, Saturday delivery option. The weight and also the dimensions of the box will be populated, but you can override for during the sales order process. And this will allow your salespeople to communicate to your customers right away what the charges will be, and whether when they do the get rate, they will give them the actual rate for this shipment and also the delivery time, if transit in time option is enabled for your carrier services. So what this gives is it's an easy access for rating, and you can do like flexible shopping options on the fly with different options. And if the salesperson would like to lock down this rating for billing, they have this option. And again, we have this rating option also available in the packing workflows as well. Now we are going to move into the shipment consolidation process. So we have built our shipment consolidation process, especially designed for WDMS processes. Since the advanced warehousing has also a consolidation process, we also utilize existing functionality, but for WDMS process, there was no consolidation option within the 365, so we built our own consolidation process. So as a process, what we offer, we have a consolidation wizard which can be accessed through our menu, and it's a query-based wizard, but you can define multiple options. You can define additional information, how you would like to consolidate your shipments, whether by customer, your address, whether it's a mode of delivery, LTL, or parcel type. You can define your query, and it will allow you, and another option is, if you don't like this option, there's also visualization, a visual tool where the user sees all the available orders to be packed in the system, and they can manually identify which one they would like to consolidate, and they can open the same consolidation shipment wizard form, and it will automatically bring those multiple different shipments into basic single shipment. So what's happening here, all those different sales orders has been consolidated under a single shipment ID, and it will allow you to process this multiple orders, either for the same customer or for the same destination, to be shipped together in a single box or in a pallet, which will allow you basically to save time and also on the freight spend, because it's going on the same destination. It can be done in a single shipment, and it will give you also efficient workflow to follow. So our next topic is around the freight charge management. So what happens, we process all those shipments. The labels are printed, the tracking numbers is in the system, but what happens in the freight charge management? So depending on the customer processes, we offer a configuration table. So this is the configuration table where you set your rules, how you would like to proceed with when you receive your charges, how are you going to bill your customers. Some businesses would like to just eat the cost, and some would like to just bill as is, and in some cases there will be some markups, markdowns as well, so they can just generate some revenue through this transportation area as well. So this is our calculation rules. So it's a very detailed form you can do by transportation type, destination, carrier, service, or invoice account. As well as you can also define whether you would like to charge your customers based on list price or net price. And we identify multi-level charge codes, like you can have core charges, handling, and this is a little bit on this actual screen you will see accessorial charges or fuel surcharges as well. So you can define up to 4 different types of charges in the system. You can mark up, mark down, and also you can do based on percentages, flat rate, or an amount. So it will allow you to just mark up, mark down, or even just have like 100% markdown for certain customers if you don't want to just bill your customers for the shipment. And the standard invoicing process will use this configuration table in the system, and as soon as you invoice your sales orders, all the charges coming into the system as freight charges, you can identify as many as different charge codes in the system, and you'll be able to see those itemized based on charge codes in the system, and it will be billed to your customer. On top of this, what also is happening in the background, if you have multiple sales order lines, or in consolidation process, if you have multiple sales order, multiple lines in a single shipment, what happens? All those charges will come in as a total charge, but we will do the distribution, apportionment distribution into those individual sales order and sales order lines based on freight charge type codes as well. What will happen as a whole? You have the option to apply free freight option. You can do markup, markdowns based on charge types. You have the option to do either flat amounts or percentages. You can incur charges to specific GL accounts, cost centers, and it will give you an option to just reconcile this. And your charges can also be done whether it's on a list or contracted rates, and apportionment will be done to orders or lines as well. So our next topic will be the parcel invoice reconciliation process. Again, after all those charges has been posted, so at the end of the month or 2 months, the companies receive their bills from the carriers. So this is a cumbersome process for accounts payable to verify all the individual sales order, packing slips, tracking numbers to match the cost versus actual cost, or what has been changed in between. There might be additional charges incurred during this transportation process. So what we are offering is another separate module, and basically we allow to import all those carrier invoices into our system. And basically you have a visual tool in the system where you can see the invoice, what's my total invoice amount for this shipment, and see all the tracking numbers. If you would like to go into more detail, what's the tracking number, what's the where it was going to, and in terms of like the charges, what was the expected amount in the system, what's my invoice amount, so you can see the discrepancies as well as the additional detail from the carrier, whether you have like earned discounts, performance pricing, fuel surcharge. All those details will be available on those tabs. So this will give you an overall picture visualized tool, but on top of this, we also offer like automated workflows where you can define your thresholds for matching process. So if, for example, for certain carrier, you would like to have a 10% tolerance value, and anything within this 10% tolerance, and you can also set where's the maximum value within those thresholds, you can automatically processes invoice into the system by using this automated workflows. It will compare each single tracking number versus what was expected in the system versus what's incoming in, and try to match based on your tolerance values. If it is within the tolerance, it will automatically reverse your accrual journal. So you will be able to see what was my original accrual, and there's a reversal journal for the accrual charges, and it will automatically create an invoice journal for the payment to your carriers. So this will simplify all the accounts payable processes to basically just a couple of clicks, compare, approve, but everything can be done automated as well. And we also offer exception management. If there's any problems, they can see what's the discrepancy, so they can manage those exceptions. They can decide to pay partially, or they have the option to just reject the full invoice and manage all those carrier-related invoices in a very easy and efficient way. So what other options the BlueJay Parcel is offering? So we also have a configurable business rules module where you can define different rules in the mix parcel rating and shipping with a tool. And there's no custom code needed in this case. You can create different rules in the backend, and it will automatically select while you're doing rate shopping or shipping. These rules will be taken into account for your processing. We also have a universal carrier module, which will allow you to add new parcel LTL carriers without waiting on the vendor to add them. And also a manual shipping process where there's no non-order based shipments. If there's no sales order, no item transactions, you can do either desktop or manual shipping process through this module as well. So for the compliance part, for the denied party screening, I'll pass it to Steve.
Awesome, great. Thanks a lot, Mehmet. I really appreciate that. So we only have this one screen. As I kind of gave you a prelude at the beginning there, this is something that we're actively working on right now, and we hope to have a little bit more from a flow perspective here in actually the coming weeks. So stay tuned, and reach back out if this is something that really does pique your interest. But it's really all about, as we refer to as denied party screening, making sure that as you're moving shipments and as you're adding customers to your customer master, etc., that you are screening those parties against the lists that are appropriate to your compliance program. And I say appropriate to your compliance program because that may be just, let's say, a US-based list, it may be Canadian list, it may be global list, EU list, or Japan list. This is truly a global screening platform that, as it describes from a content perspective, but what's most important is it's really all about the content that we manage. So we do not have to go out to any third-party vendor and get content. You will see that this is all updated and in the full control of NMB and BlueJay. So that is a differentiator in the marketplace, so you know you're getting really up-to-date content. You're not relying on external parties to update that content to then get it. And more important is we do have multiple workflows that can be considered. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. We recognize that. And we try to make sure that we're creating the right workflows and the right program to support what a customer may need. And again, what's important to note here is this is really all about doing the right thing, meaning some people do ship what we'll call dual-use items, both military or civilian use, and as a result, you should have a pretty robust compliance program already. Some people don't. Some people want to use screening to just make sure that you're doing business with reputable companies. And what's also important to note is within this denied party screening module, you can enforce your own rules in regards to creating your own denied party list. So if a company says, I don't want to do business with certain companies, then they can hook into this and leverage this. And as I described, what we're kind of building out is that whole D365 workflow. The teams are now engaged in kind of trying to figure out and make sure that we get that. But we wanted to give you a little prelude into that and make sure that we get the message out that if you do have some type of requirement around this, just let us know. It doesn't necessarily always impact just international shipping. Some people don't realize you're just as liable whether you ship domestically or internationally. So if you're shipping within a country, Canada to Canada, US to US, you are still bound by the same rules and regulations that if you ship to someone that was on a denied party list, even though they're domestic, because around half, at least from a U.S. perspective, around half of the people on the list are U.S. citizens. So there are lots of known terrorists domestically that people shouldn't be doing business with. Otherwise, you're susceptible to any potential fines. So again, thanks a lot, Mehmet. I think the next screen that we have here is really all about the questions. So I think we're going to turn it over to Jason Chung, have a new voice on the line, have him kind of go through some of the questions that have been posted, I think, on the Q&A board or via the chat.
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much, Steve. So we have quite a few questions. I will try to target who it concerns to answer. The first one is from Tammy McNabb. I believe this question would be to you, Mehmet. We are currently on AX 2012 R2. We do pick and pack from each individual sales order. In 365 FO, is it possible to still perform shipping in this way?
Yes. So basically, if the customer still would like to use simplified WMS processes, we still have the option to utilize similar process. You can just do the picking process, and you can do the packing within our packing workbench. And when you process the shipment, it will automatically post packing slip with those all the packaging information. So this is possible. And also for people who you would like to utilize advanced warehousing options, regardless of the processes, we cater to both worlds, whether it's a simple WMS or advanced warehousing. The packing workbench will identify the type of shipment and it will process accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. Again from Tammy, and this one would be to Steve. How do you stay compliant with any carrier label changes that they make?
The very quick answer is hard work. So we have a team dedicated within the development organization to carrier compliance. Really, their sole purpose in life, whether they admit it out loud or not, is to maintain compliance. And to make sure that we do adhere to the rules and regulations of the carriers. So as carriers make changes, we'll be making updates to the software to stay compliant.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. This one as well is addressed to you, Steve. So how do you acquire rates for LTL carriers? Are rates from a CSV file stored within AX?
It's a great question. So within the actual rating engines themselves, when it comes to LTL, there's really two ways to do LTL rating. It can be loading tables within the parcel in LTL rating engine. So I wouldn't say they're loaded into AX, but they'd be loaded into the engine. So that is one way. And another way is to link into something like what's referred to as the SMC Rateware web service. So some people, when they're rating LTL and using LTL, they use SMC. And as a result, we do have, as an alternative to loading rates, we have an alternative to that web service called that can be configured and leveraged for that.
Okay, thank you very much. This next one from Mohammed is addressed to you, Mehmet. Does it have alerts for customers and customer care for shipment status changes? And sorry, that was to Steve again.
So for emails, I guess if we're talking about, and there's two types of statuses. One status is obviously internal statuses. Has it been shipped? Is it voided? Has it been uploaded to the carrier? As articulated by Mehmet, there are some options for triggering emails out of various statuses that way. When it comes to actually proof of delivery, I'd have to refer back to Mehmet. I don't remember what we've done in regards to. I think there's a hyperlink on the tracking number, right, so that customer service could actually go out to the carrier website automatically.
Yes, so the tracking numbers goes directly to the URL to just actually track those, or if on the carrier level, you can select whether you would like to receive delivered shipment information from the carrier or any exceptions that can be on the carrier itself, and then the carrier will notify you when there's issues or when the shipment is delivered. You will get emails directly from the carrier as well.
Okay, thank you. And this next one is addressed to Mehmet around the carrier invoice reconciliation. Can I link carrier invoice to customer invoice?
So that's a good question. So can you link to the customer invoice? Basically, what we do is when we import the carrier invoices, the system is gonna go into details based on tracking number in the system. So if you have like multiple boxes, multiple tracking numbers for each different sales orders, so basically for each box tracking number is linked to a sales in the sales side, sales order and a packing slip option. So you can identify this to a customer, but again, at the end, this is more linked to the payment side, but we will be able to track what is this linked. The detail will be based on tracking numbers, sales order, and the packing slip, so you can identify up to that level in the system.
Okay, thank you very much. And this next one is also addressed to you, Mehmet. It's actually a two-part question from Elena. At what point the charges are recognized as such to the sales order / line before or after the shipping is done?
Okay, so what we do, we offer two different processes. So one option is shipment and posting at the same time. This can be done by parameters. If the user selects this option, as soon as your shipment is done, you post packing slip, and we retrieve those charges in. And at this time, what happens, as soon as the packing slip is posted, your freight charges will be attached to your sales order lines. The other option is send shipment, and we just delay the packing slip posting to a different time. So some customers do the send shipment, prepare the labels, cartons, and everything. They can just process the shipment, but the actual packing process, the posting of packing slip process, the batch process, that can be done at the end of the day or at night. But what we do in this case, we still bring in those charges into the system. It's visible on the packing workbench, what are the details and everything. But as soon as the packing slip is posted at night or any other date, at that time we attach those to packing slip journal.
Okay, and the second part of that question is, if I want to notify the customer what the shipping charges would be at the point of raising the sales order, can I do this?
Yes, so basically you can do order rate shopping. It can be either on the sales quotation or at order level. And as soon as you identify which items are on your sales order, if you do rate shopping, it will bring the item weight, the theoretical item weight. And again, you can overwrite this, and this is based on maybe single box, but you can also manipulate this. You can play on the rate shopping screen, and this will give you the actual shipping cost based on whether your theoretical weights or the entry that you are providing to rate shopping is correct.
Okay, so this next one from Elena was to you, Mehmet, but I believe you answered that, which is, can I use the rating engine on a sales quotation?
Yes, so you can do sales quotation, sales order as prior to packing. Also, we offer in the packing process, after all the boxes are completed, we also offer rate shopping at that level as well.
Thank you. This next one is directed to Steve. Can the DPS also apply to a product? An example, cannot ship certain products to certain countries.
So there's a couple things there that should be known is you can create, so the quick answer is yes, you can create what's referred to as a product embargo database. So if you wanted to configure certain products to be blocked for certain countries and you wanted to enforce that, you absolutely can. So when you went to screen a party, if you were providing the line item information, it could validate whether or not that particular destination country could be applicable to that product. However, there's also an offshoot to that, which we did not talk about, which is license determination. So sometimes a product may be given, so to speak, a waiver, as long as it's licensed so you know what quantities and stuff like that are applicable or available to go to a country. So there is something referred to as license determination of whether or not a license might be required to ship to a particular country. And that is something that's also available within the screening solution.
Okay, thank you very much. And this last question here addressed to Mehmet. Can you consolidate multiple orders from different customers?
Yes. So the consolidation process can be utilized whether it's the same customer, same destination, or it can be multiple customers, same destination, or if you choose to have, like, again, multiple customers, even if it's a different destination, you can consolidate. But what it will do, the system will identify if in this case, let's say it's a different customer, it's going to be a different type of carrier in this consolidation process. So it will break down into logical groups or logical shipment levels in this case, which we call shipment lanes. For example, the first set of grouping can be done through carrier A, but the second will be through carrier B. You can still see this consolidation piece into the one screen, but you will see multiple shipping lane, but you can process this single shipment in one click of a button. After you package this, it will then, in this case, assuming that you have multiple, let's say 2 or 3 different shipping lanes, it will create 2 or 3 different posting, which can be like packing slip or can be labels for those different carriers. So the simple answer, yes, you can do different type of consolidation into single shipment.
Okay, thank you. And so one final question here, which would be addressed to Mehmet. Are the freight charges applied to the invoice as negotiated rates or standard rates? And can those be changed using the markup markdown?
Yes, the answer is yes. So we have an option to either utilize net rates or list rates, or net, which is the contract rates for your company. So depending on which rate you would like to use, either for this process, on the miscellaneous charge calculation rules table, when you set up your rules to bill your customers, you have the option whether to select list or your net rates, and you can do markup markdown based on those those values.
Okay, well, that was the last question in all of the lists. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Well, at this point, I think we are ready to begin wrapping up. Well, first of all, thank you, Mehmet and Steve, for presenting today and for taking so many questions from the audience.
Thanks. Take care.
And thank you to everyone for your time and attention today. There will be a very brief survey that pops up as you depart. Any feedback you can give to us about your experience or the material would be greatly appreciated. Again, we have recorded today's event. We'll be sending out details on that soon as well. And with that, I believe we are ready to conclude. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.